Ahoy there, beautiful humans! Swab the poop deck! No, that didn't do anything? No. Okay, hey beautiful human, it's RidersDX and welcome to my channel where today we're going to be taking a look back at Nickelodeon All Star Brawl this time. And so it's been a while since I touched upon this game, and the reason for that is because, well, I didn't really feel like there was too much worth talking about for the long time being. But you know what, this game has been getting constant updates and such, and I just feel like, you know, there's something here that I think leads to a good discussion, and that is the DLC characters of Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. So to kind of pedal back, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl came out back in fall, and it's been living up to its promise of providing updates and DLC, as the game has seen constant fixes and additional content since its launch. It's really great that the developers are dedicated to updating this game and keeping it in the news, because this is pretty different for a game mill game of all games as well. Like, game mill is so used to just pumping out these games and just doing nothing with them afterwards. And so to see Nickelodeon All Star Brawl still be in the headlines and having updates made to it is pretty cool, and I would love to see this be a regular thing for game mill games going forward if they're going to continue making Nickelodeon games. But one of the biggest things that they've talked about is, well, DLC fighters, and we've already had 2 so far since its initial release. The DLC choices we've got though, I take a small issue with them. Well, it's not really small the more we get into it, but it's definitely an issue that I think is worth discussing. But to illustrate what the issue is with these DLC choices, let's take a look at them. So the first one that we got, which I think was in like November, December, I can't remember at this point, but the first one was Garfield. Yeah, Garfield's a pretty odd choice, I'm not gonna lie. In fact, I didn't actually realize he was a Nickelodeon property until he was announced as the DLC choice, but he's still a solid choice, and I'm sure he brought some attention to this game. If I recall correctly, I think he was trending when he was announced for this game. Garfield's a pretty iconic character, and his moveset feel that lazy charm that everyone loves about him. He also has a treats-filled stage that came along with his character, and it's just really fun to play on as well, and really great to look at. And so I'm not gonna lie, Garfield was not my first choice. In fact, he wasn't really a choice that crossed my mind at all, but he definitely is a very iconic property, and I'm sure he brought some attention to this game, so I can understand why they brought him into the mix. This past week though, we got our second DLC choice, which was Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, I know this game was in need of a villain, but did it really have to be a 4th TMNT representative? Why not pull from a more obscure franchise? Or if it had to be one that was already in the game due to like rights or something, why not Plankton for Spongebob? Or maybe Zuko or Zula from Avatar? Listen, I know Zuko's not a villain later on in the show, but man, this game just needs him. Like, can you imagine his moveset? Like, I want to do that lightning move, whatever it is. But anyway, I don't want to like pounce on anyone that likes these 2 characters a lot. Good for you if you enjoy these choices and you enjoy playing at these characters. You know, that's what a fighter roster is all about, is like having something for everyone. So I'm not gonna say that these 2 choices are absolutely terrible, should have never made it into the game, because if they satisfy someone that's playing the game, then they're doing what they need to do. But Shredder's review just really spelled out the issue that I take with these DLC choices so far, and that is the fact that these don't really feel like Nickelodeon All-Star choices. So yes, technically these are Nickelodeon franchises, but they're acquired properties that just don't share that rich history of Nickelodeon other choices would have been able to share. Like I said, I know that these characters have their fans, and I'm sure that people enjoy playing them a lot so far, but I really hope the next DLC characters will actually be Nickelodeon All-Stars, pulling from Nickelodeon's rich history of franchises and actually contribute to making this experience as such. I mean, seeing franchises like Real Monsters and Ren and Stimpy represented here alongside current ones like The Loud House and Spongebob is pretty cool to see, and really adds to this appeal of this being a Nickelodeon All-Star endeavor. I mean, that's why I really enjoyed the roster Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 in particular, because while it had some choices that I didn't really understand, like JoJo Siwa, it also included people like Rocco and Invader Zim and such, and it's just great to see all these characters come together that are from my childhood and even the childhood of people that came before me. You know, it's really great to reminisce about the franchises that I grew up with and also learn about franchises that came before my generation as well. I think that was the whole appeal of this. In fact, I didn't know Real Monsters was a show on Nickelodeon until this game, to be honest. But, you know, looking back on its history and seeing some of its content, it's really cool to see Nickelodeon franchises that date that far back get represented here. So I think it's just disappointing when you see characters like Shredder and Garfield make it in over really highly requested choices from Nickelodeon's actual history, just because, you know, this is a Nickelodeon All-Star game, and while it definitely should incorporate these franchises if they are current properties of Nickelodeon, like, I don't don't want to see 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles representatives here. Like, does the franchise really take up that much in Nickelodeon? Like, when you think of TMNT, do you really think of Nickelodeon? No. And the reason for that is because they've never been that longly associated with Nickelodeon until in recent years. And that's totally fine. And like I said, I think it's right that these characters do have some kind of representation, but for them to take up so much of the roster and come in over like highly requested choices since day one, it just is a little disappointing to me. Nonetheless, these 2 characters do have pretty cool movesets, and I'm sure that the fans of these characters are really enjoying their inclusion, but just being a long-time Nickelodeon fan, like, I can't help but feel a little disappointment with these choices. I mean, I'm glad we're getting them, because you gotta think about this. When was the last time I actually saw DLC with a Nickelodeon game? I cannot remember the last time that actually happened, in all honesty, unless it was like a mobile game where they get updates like all the time, because that's just within the nature of the game. But to see a console game get DLC and updates like this is pretty new territory for a Nickelodeon game, as sad as that sounds. I mean, they really just pumped out these games in the past and didn't take a second eye at them afterwards. It's a miracle that Battle for Bikini Bottom got a remake, to be honest, because that game was destined to be left in the past for eternity. And so to see Nickelodeon All Star Brawl actually get effort and updates put into it is still pretty cool. I just wish the choices were a little bit better. I will say though, I think we can be a little optimistic about other DLC choices in the future, because they have stated that there will be more DLC coming. The developers have actually regularly sent out surveys to the community through their Discord server on what characters we'd like to see in the game, and we have the poll results from the latest one. The top 3 choices are Timmy Turner from Fairly OddParents, XJ9 from My Life as a Teenage Robot, and taking the very top spot is Jimmy Neutron from, well, Jimmy Neutron. All 3 of these examples are characters that originated from Nickelodeon and are heavily tied to the network, and these are the kind of characters I'm talking about that would add to that rich history of Nickelodeon to this game. So from these polls, I can at least guarantee that we know the developers are listening to what we are saying we want as characters, but whether or not they actually get these characters in the game is completely up to them and Nickelodeon themselves. And so I don't know why, but I think there's some kind of underlying rights reason as to why, you know, we've gotten Danny Phantom in Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 and Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, but we don't have Timmy Turner from Fairly OddParents. Like, I just find that to be really strange, especially considering that the Fairly OddParents has a live action revival coming on Paramount Plus this year. And so there's just something really weird about that. Like, I could never pinpoint exactly as to why that was, but there's just something weird about the way that these characters are chosen and such. So whether or not we get all 3 of these choices though, there are still some good things to look forward to. If y'all didn't know, the stage that came with Shredder was actually not something for TMNT, but was actually a stage called Double Dare, which was actually a reality show on Nickelodeon that debuted all the way back in the early 90s. And so again, this is an example of a really cool reference pointing back to a classic show, and I didn't even realize that this show had a revival in recent years until I learned about this level a couple of days ago. And so it incorporates a Nickelodeon property that's not a cartoon either, which is just a bonus, because I always thought it would have been cool to see something else beyond cartoons get represented here, but I did not anticipate that coming at all. There was also the confirmation a while back that this game would be getting voice acting. It's a little disappointing that it didn't come with this update, but it is something that they did confirm is coming, so that is something we can look forward to as well. So like I said, there are some things I wish this game would add to its, content to make it more of a Nickelodeon All-Star experience, but I'm very appreciative of the fact that they are able to actually update this game and add content to it, because again, it's not a normal thing for a Nickelodeon game to get this, and so the fact that they're actually being able to put updates and such into this game is pretty awesome and gives a good outlook as to future Nickelodeon games, because if Nickelodeon All Star Brawl is getting this treatment, then who knows what kind of support the next Nickelodeon game from Game will get. I mean, look at Rehydrate to Cosmic Shake. I mean, Rehydrate was basically a bare bones remake of a classic game, but the Cosmic Shake is looking to be something completely new and much more revamped in terms of video game content, and it even comes with original voice acting. And so it does look like if the games bring in the numbers, then Nickelodeon will greenlight bigger and more highly budgeted games. And so the fact that Nickelodeon All Star Brawl is getting these updates is definitely a positive sign. I'm not really crazy about the DLC choices so far, but I'm optimistic that the developers at least know what the consumers want, and hopefully they can deliver that. But if not, then I'm sure there's some kind of crazy reason as to why they're not in the game that we'll never fully comprehend. But you know what? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you all think about these these DLC choices. Do you think I'm overreacting here, or do you agree with what I'm saying? You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Nonetheless, like I said, I hope people do enjoy Garfield and Shredder, but personally I do hope we see some actual Nickelodeon properties get in here for the next DLC choices. But anyway, let me know what characters you want to see in the next Nickelodeon All Star Brawl update as well. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm personally really rooting for Squidward. I mean, that clarinet is deadly to everyone's ears in the actual show, so imagine what it would be like on an actual stage. Sorry, Squidward. Thank you so much for watching this video. Special shout out to my patrons, New Gamer Hub, Team Rattle Sign Gamer, Trash Q, Claw84. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, and please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.